So we're taking delivery of my new Woodland Mills WC46. And right off the bat, this is one of the reasons why I got the 46. Woodland Mills wasn't able to tell me whether it was going to come on a flatbed or a liftgate truck. And if it was coming on an 18-wheeler, I wasn't sure that the 2025 would have been able to lift the 68 or the 88 off the back. Almost definitely it wouldn't have been able to. But alas, this came on a lift gate, but I already had the forks on already, so what the hell, I'll just rip it off with the machine. Which was also another point. The 68 would really max out every part of the 2025 in both PTO power, lift capacity on the 3-point, and just taking it and moving it around with the forks is right at the max. If you're wondering why that logo is there, the second delivery guy said he didn't want to be on camera. I'll respect that. That's fine. The logo goes away in a second. Welcome back to the homestead. I'm terrifically excited. I got a new toy. It's an attachment to a toy. I got a new Woodland Mills WC46 wood chipper. I'm a little rushed right now. FedEx said it was coming between 9:45 and 11:45 this morning. It is now 4:45 and it just showed up. I only have a couple of hours of somewhat natural light left and the temperatures are dropping rapidly. So much to everyone's happiness, I'm gonna stop talking to you guys here, actually get to work, and do the rest in voiceover. YouTube noise. First impressions, I'm definitely keeping the steel. I will find a use for it around here. It probably won't even survive the summer. Nice hardware. I think I even have the hardware already, something lined up for those. So I love when stuff like this shows up because I get to reuse all the packing material. With the amount of trees that we have here and the amount of firewood that we go through, having a wood chipper is super duper convenient. Renting one doesn't work for us because you never know when stuff is going to fall. And while burning is fun and free, it takes forever and it's really not the most convenient option for us. That looks to be at least 2 beer cans worth. Oh, what do we got? Some propaganda? Nah. I thought this was propaganda. Oh, we do! All right. I'll take a sticker. I saw that other guy, he got a hat, but his video's got like, I don't know, 70,000 views or so. So make sure you hit the like button and kick this thing up into the algorithm so I get a free hat. As far as assembly goes, everything was very straightforward. Very few trips to the instruction manual. Things seemed very straightforward. And one thing that I do appreciate is that they put the bolts that you need in one little packet for each step. I really like that. It makes assembly a lot easier. So why did I pick this model? Woodmax, a USA company, doesn't have a comparable small model like this one. They used to, they don't have it. A lot of what's available now is 6 inches and 8-inch models, which doesn't really work for me. 1, the tractor really can't handle it. And 2, anything over 4 or 5 inches is firewood anyway. So looking for like a cleanup machine and firewood is not for you. You could get a bigger machine and push the 2025 to its max. All right, I think it's time to call it. We have the chute all assembled. Still got to do the like control arm, just a rod and a cotter pin. Nothing crazy. We're gonna come back in the morning with the power of coffee, put the chute on, fill it up with hydraulic fluid. I gotta take the hoe off and put the 3-point arms on. There's a bunch of little stuff to do. It's really not that little. There's a bunch of stuff left to do, and then we're gonna put it through its paces. But for now, I'm going inside. It's freaking freezing out here. But in your time, it'll be 1, 2. Good morning, welcome back. I'm smiling because I guess I'm supposed to be pretending like I didn't already have this thing fired up, but I totally did, and it is awesome. Since I last saw you, I put the chute on, the out chute, I put the in chute on, I filled it with hydraulic, and I trimmed my PTO shaft. On my machine, a 2025 with no quick hitch, I had to take 6 inches off, 6.5 inches off just about. I did one big cut and one little cut just to get it in there to fit. Sits level, that's where it's supposed to be. Don't take my word for it. If you're buying one, it's gonna be your tractor dependent, and it was easy. It was easy. Just do a quick measurement, cut it off. I used the porta band, nice and clean, and it went really easily. I'm filming here. If you want to talk more about assembly, the assembly took longer than I expected it to. Probably all told between last night and tonight, it probably took about 3 hours to put together, which is way longer than I wanted it to be. And also at the same time, if you don't have a backhoe and have to put your 3-point attachment on, it's gonna be shorter for you. As far as tools go, nothing was really oddball, but I have a couple of suggestions if you're watching this pre-purchase of this attachment. 2 ratchet sets was really helpful. I have the outside tool set, has 2 sets of sockets. Has 2 sets of sockets in the same box, a deep and a standard size, and that was a lot. That was terrifically convenient because you have the same sizes and doing, you're doing it together. This way you don't have to, I don't know, get an adjustable. I don't know, but 2 socket sets really worked. Also, for the button heads inside here, they're a hex head. I had a hex set because I have a German car, and all that crap is all a hex. But I'll leave a link down below for all this stuff. None of it's expensive. It's just super convenient to have. And I guess an adjustable wrench was really, as far as the nuts and bolts go, because a lot of the bigger stuff, like the chute cover, that's a 40 millimeter. I don't have a 40 millimeter. The last 40 millimeter I saw was in a Mike fashion. But I digress. I did adjust the bed plate to the cutters. Mine was way out. It says it says 18, excuse me. It says a 16th to an 1/8. Mine was way bigger than that. So it's just a quick adjustment on the inside. It's not very hard. You loosen 3 bolts, you slide the bed plate in, and you retighten the bolts. Nothing here was really earth-shattering. Like we've talked about before on other videos, it's not an issue if you bought the bigger ones, the 68 and the 88, but this takes 4.5 gallons. What am I gonna do with half a gallon of hydraulic oil? So I had to figure out a way to get a half a gallon out. I just poured mine, 2 quarts, poured it out, and then filled the rest. There is a screen on top of this, so it does take a while. That probably took 40 minutes to fill this up, just because you're waiting for the level to go down. But outside of that, assembly was really straightforward. I'm sorry I didn't show you, but honestly, do you need to see a guy tightening bolts? The last piece of advice I have, well, it's actually 2, but it's relatively the same thing. The bottom chute here, I'll bring it around to show you. So, the infeed chute is 4 different pieces. If you follow the instructions, all how to get the rim guard on and the safety handle on, that's all straightforward, just follow the instructions. But here's my one tip about this. When I first put the bottom plate on, because like I said, this is 4 different pieces, it didn't line up. I had a big gap between the bottom of the mouth and the infeed for the feeder roller there. So actually what I did was I took it, I disassembled, I didn't disassemble anything. I just unconnected the bottom and I flipped it up. And as you're tightening it, you want to push down, which would be up in this configuration, but it's easier if you flip it up and open it up. It takes that gap and eliminates it, and then tighten it up so that this bottom piece of the infeed chute will match up with the infeed. I hope that makes sense. Just flip this up and push down on it and then tighten it up. It'll take the gap out of the bottom. Also, secondly, much less important, but it was something where I just said, oh, it's 4 bolts, I'll take care of it. There are actually 2 different lengths of bolts here. If you read the instructions, it tells you that, but I didn't. So you have to pay attention to these bolts for the out chute. There's a shorter one and a longer one. The longer ones go on this side, the shorter ones go on this side. Outside of that, those were really the only 2 things that kind of caught me up, but even still, I didn't really get caught up too badly. Now, as far as operation, see the instant smile comes back. I haven't been able to slow down the tractor yet. So without further ado, let's get some chipping action going. coming up right here is a great example of what the Wood Max has that the Woodland Mills doesn't have. You'll see here, I really got to jam this thing in to try to get the feed roller to engage. The Woodland Mills, I believe, has a handle that you can pull up and manually pull up to get that feed roller to open up a little bit. I might take some of that shipping crate and fashion a handle onto this. I know I can also adjust the springs right there to make it a little bit easier, but overall, like on an average, it seems to work fine. But there are some pieces where the cut angle isn't right, and you really got to jam it hard into the bottom of that feed wheel to get it to engage. And this clip here reminds me of, you have to be mindful of the in-feed height. It's right at where the bathing suit covers height. So when you're using it, keep your head on a swivel and take precautions. Alright, let's do some FAQs so I can get wrapped up with this voiceover part of editing. Why did I get the Woodland Mills 46 and not the 68 or the 88? So like I mentioned earlier, it would be almost too much for the 2025. Something with a higher PTO horsepower, like a 2032 or a 2038, it would have been a no-brainer. I would have been in the 68 all day long. But do I really want to tax my machine at its maximum? Like, can it? Sure. Do you want to? I don't think so. That was my thought process. So that's why I went with the 46. Again, I touched on it earlier. Why do you need so many wood chips? On a homestead, you can never have enough wood chips. Between the things that animals go to the bathroom on, to the landscaping, to making new dirt, you can never have enough wood chips. And I'm that big of a nerd that I went ahead and did the math on it. Those white flake bags that I get from Tractor Supply that the ducks and chickens just poop on are up to almost $9 a piece. And for what this machine costs, if I used it solely to do nothing but chicken and duck chips, this machine will pay for itself in about 8 years. That's not a joke. Why did I go with Woodland Mills instead of the Wood Max? Again, like I mentioned earlier, there isn't a comparable Wood Max model. They had one; it's discontinued now. They have the 8800 or so, and I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing or not, but there are a lot of those Wood Maxes on Facebook Marketplace. Now you can see this two ways. One, the person's trying to get rid of them; it's a piece of junk. I highly doubt it's that one. Or is it so efficient that they have chipped everything up and they don't need it anymore? But, you know, you never really see these Woodland Mills on Facebook Marketplace. Really, you see a lot of the Wood Maxes. What about future-proofing? The 46 will work just as well on a 32 or 2032 or a 2038. It's kind of future-proof. It'll run it. Not really concerned about that. Why do I keep mentioning Woodland Mills and the Wood Max? I will never, ever, ever, would never and will never get a wood chipper that doesn't have a hydraulic infeed. To me, it seems safer. It's a lot less taxing on your body. And honestly, for the price, some of the non-hydraulic infeeder models out there, I'm looking at you, DR and Wallenstein, are more expensive than this self-feeding model. Listen, it's not a Mercedes, it's not a status item, it's a tool. I don't need to spend $5,000 on a wood chipper. It does the same thing as this one for half the price. And then when you start getting into the pull-behind, self-powered, like the Yard Beast, things that'll do a comparable limb size, they're really just as expensive, if not more expensive. Plus, that's another engine that I had to maintain. So the fact that this is the size that I wanted, it's PTO powered, that will work on a subcompact or compact tractor, and it's relatively low maintenance, and clearly it's doing the job. That's why I went with Woodland Mills. This thing is awesome. Now, this clip here, this is for anyone who saw the short, and there was a commenter on there who argued with me how I loaded the tree in backwards. And then I corrected him, and then he came back and said, I'm a line clearer. You're loading the tree in backwards. So here is that clip. You could see me with the phone in my hand, loading the tree in the right way. Here comes where I start recording the short. And here comes another angle of me chipping it up. So there's 3 angles of me not loading the tree in backwards. I'm just petty like this, just to prove a point. And also, if I didn't have my phone in my hand creating social media, I would have been able to hold up the other end of the tree and pull it in. Now, there was a tree prior to this one that I didn't have to hold up, but this one, of course, because you're trying to record it, it didn't go as planned. These things happen when you're a creator. Put the damn phone down and just focus on the job. All right, so it's time to do an outro. I don't know. How do you wrap up Christmas morning? This thing rules. I want to curse so badly. It rules. It is the polar opposite of the Harbor Freight machine that I made a video on last year or so. Now, in that video, a lot of people took exception, thought I was kind of crapping on Harbor Freight. That wasn't the case. I tried to make mention of it. That machine was outgunned for this property. That was it. I didn't own this tractor at the time. This wasn't an option. Now it is. And it's totally worth it. I should have bought it when I bought the 2025 because it is fantastic. I'm still smiling. This is a genuine smile. I like to, I don't know, make these are they worth it videos, especially for something that's this expensive. If you dabble in the PTO attachment game, you know how expensive any PTO attachment is, and this is no exception. This was right around $33. I got the chainsaw and the extra spare parts kit with it. So it's right around $3,600 for this one. And to me, it's worth it. It is awesome. It's done everything that I asked it to do. We never bogged the tractor down. We certainly never stalled it. I think 4 inches is kind of a suggestion. We're not working with a ton of horsepower here, and we never even slowed it down. So in that regard, it exceeds my expectations. So normally I would say something like this, like, oh, what is it, 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10? This is a 92 out of 100. It lost a couple points along the way. First, you lost 2 points because you still have to, it doesn't like 90 degrees coming off of like the main stem, if you will. You still got to trim those off. Now that being said, that could be assuaged in the future by how I limb the things. Now that I know that they all pretty much have to be relatively straight, which was an issue on the Harbor Freight one, just at a much smaller scale, larger problem scale. Anyway, when I limb in the future, I'll know that, you know, kind of keep them straight, hard right angles. It doesn't like it. So you lost 2 points there. They also lost 6 points because they didn't put a hat in the box. Listen, guys, it's like $4,000 for shipping and everything. Throw a hat in the box. I'm kidding. So really, it's a 98 out of 100. Really a fantastic piece of equipment here. The only other thing that I thought of as I was using it, gloves. gloves. Now this isn't normally an attachment that I would use gloves for, getting pulled in, whatever. That's going to be up to you, but it doesn't play games. These thorny things don't play games, so it's going to be up to you whether you want to wear your gloves or not. I can't tell you what to do. Probably not going to wear gloves in the future, but that's just me. Outside of that, I think that pretty much covers it. As far as an unboxing, installation, and first use video, I think we've covered all the bases. The assembly and installation was very easy, and the first use was well above what I expected. I did expect a little bogging down. It's a relatively smaller tractor, but not the case for us. So is this the ultimate firewood companion? I think if you're making it at your own house and you're dropping trees, it might be. It might give the 500i a run for its money as far as a perfect companion. Yes, we all like the bucking stems, but you still have the tops to deal with. And this did a great job of taking care of those. I think that's it. Goodbye.